Welcome to the J. Frank White Academy. We are a STEM school focused on preparing students for college. We are located in Tennessee.
Tennessee was highly affected by the rising numbers of COVID-19 cases in our country. Our ways of living changed due to the new rules set by the government.
Soon after COVID reached the United States, social distancing was suggested by the CDC.
In the classrooms, students had to sit in every other seat in order to maintain the 6-foot rule. In the beginning of quarantine, school classes were held online. Students attended class through Zoom or Microsoft Teams. All schoolwork was posted online as well.
Our school shortened our class periods by 10 minutes to give teachers enough time to wipe down desks and students enough time to come outside, take their masks off, and get a fresh breath of air. Although, when going back into the school for your next class, masks had to go back on.
To limit the exposure between students, each stairwell was only used going one direction. The east was used for going up, and the west was used for going down. The college made some changes to the cafeteria in order to follow CDC guidelines. The middle and elementary school students were served lunch in their classrooms, while the high school students got to eat lunch in the cafeteria. They were served lunch in plastic packages and used plastic utensils. When students had to use the restroom, there were only 3 allowed at a time.
During sporting events, everyone but the players were required to wear masks. As the numbers rose in our area, some sporting events were canceled or put on pause.
In March of 2020, the USA was in a lockdown. It was difficult to adapt to these rules, especially when masks were required inside buildings. By August of 2020, the whole country was under a mask mandate.
Hey, put on your mask.
Thank you for letting us show you around our school. Located in the Appalachian Mountains, here are some interviews
From our principal and our teacher.
Por favor, chicas, mantengan distancia. Por favor. Entre sí. Mira. Más para allá. Ok. Ok. Estamos bien.
Gracias. What did it look like teaching during quarantine?
Teaching during quarantine was a good chance to look at new technologies to communicate, without being in the same room. It meant that I wasn't able to see my students as well, and there were more distractions, but also it meant that I could still access a lot of the same things, videos and etc. I used in class. A lot of my work is posted online through Teams anyways, so it was something that felt pretty familiar, aside from the fact that I wasn't able to call on my students in person the way I usually do.
How did COVID affect your classroom setting?
For me, I think one effect that COVID had was it required us to be really adaptable. We didn't know when our numbers would get high enough that we may have to go online. I didn't know if the work we were doing in class, the next day we would have to do together through Zoom. So a big change was I had to be ready for us not to be there for a while.
From a principal's perspective, how did you feel about the guidelines we were required to follow that Lincoln Memorial University set out to protect their students and faculty on campus?
I don't know that I had a feeling necessarily. We had to do what we thought was best for the students, and from that standpoint, I would say they made sense to me, because what you want to do is reduce the risk of students and faculty and staff getting it, and